introductions and then any questions anybody may have. So hi, you probably know me by now, but my name is Leon. I'm 19 years old and I am from South Africa, and I am the X Culture Academy coaching coordinator. So my hobbies include anything nature and art and like getting to know different cultures basically. So that's me in a very short and brief, I don't know, sentence. That's not a sentence, paragraph. I don't know. B, do you want to go next?
Okay, so I'm 21 still. My name is Beatrix. I'm from Romania, and this semester I'm an admin member. This means that I was a coach, lead coach, senior coach, head coach, coaching manager, every post until now, and now I'm helping out others. About my hobbies, I love eating, cooking, baking, and then I'm pretty big fan of art in general and building styles and poetry. It sounds boring and it might be for others, but for me it's interesting. And I think that would be it. How about you, Liz?
Hi, my name is Louisa. I'm 20 years old. I'm one of the coaching managers. I live in the Netherlands and I study law and society, and I like theater and ice skating.
Awesome, thank you. Who else would like to go? You can, if you're too shy to speak, you can put in the chat. Otherwise, it would be really cool if you can all just briefly introduce yourselves.
Hello, everybody. I'm Safi Abbas. I'm from India, Kashmir. I'm currently 16 years old, and I am currently doing my majors in engineering.
That's really cool. Oh wow, that's awesome. Who would like to go next? B, I'm going to give you the honors of picking someone.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Srishti? Because I've seen you around, so maybe you're more comfortable with us already.
Hi, I'm Shrishti and I'm from India. I'm 16 and I'm a student. I am a commerce student. I studying grade 11th and I'm from Delhi.
That's really cool. Thank you for introducing yourself. Louisa, do you want to pick someone?
Yes, Colleen can go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yes, we can hear you.
So my name is Colleen. I'm from France and I'm 17. I'm doing my junior year in France.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I must say, France is honestly one of my favorite places, and I'm very sad that I don't get to go there very often. Who would like to go next? Anybody brave enough to speak? No? Okay.
Hello, my name is Maxim Lavriv. I'm from Ukraine and I'm currently 14 years old. I live in a city called Rivne. And I love to play guitar and also swim. And that's all.
That's really cool. Awesome.
Thanks.
Wait, who hasn't gone? Veronica, have you gone? If I'm saying your name, I do apologize. I suck at names.
No, it's fine. So hi, I'm Veronica. I'm from Ukraine, but currently live in Poland. I'm 17 years old and I'm at my first year at the university. I love arts and longboarding. It's like my hobbies, and I look forward to this X culture thing. I guess it'll be like really cool experience.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you're excited. You will learn a lot and really gain so much out of it. So yeah. Am I missing anyone? B, Louisa, have I missed someone?
I think Yaroslav. I'm sorry. I think I'm mispronouncing that name. Do you want to go?
It seems like they're unmuted, but I don't know if it's.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm from Ukraine. I'm 14 years old and I also live in Rivne. I'm into playing chess and reading.
Cool, awesome. Okay, so thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Now open it to you. If you have any questions to start off with, anything in regards to X culture, feel free to unmute or put in the chats. Otherwise, we can just share experiences, etc. So I'll give you a few minutes to think of any questions you may have. Nobody has questions.
By the way, don't mind me asking, but what got you all into X culture?
Good question. Okay. Louisa, do you want to go first?
Well, what got me into X culture is actually a Facebook ad, which is very funny. I see B laughing. I think it's the same case for her. And well, when I saw it, I was not sure if it would be like really you have all the scams on like Facebook and stuff. But then I actually joined, and what got me to stay is actually this amazing community that always helps me to grow. So I had to leave one semester because of exams, and then next semester I came back as a coach, and then I've just stayed until now, and now I'm a coaching manager. And I'm not planning on leaving.
B, do you want to go next?
It was kind of similar for me too. I was really unsure in my last year of high school what I was going to do. And I found a Facebook ad. And again, as everyone thinks that it's a scam. But on the other hand, it was like I really started to participate in the events, and I started off with the theory phase, with the tests. And I realized that it's really cool. And it might help me in realizing if I really want to do business at university or not, because I was really, really undecided as always. And then it was really a good, because I was thinking about international business, and this was like a great experience to see if it's a fit or not. And then I also got like, when moving, a little bit of break for sometimes, I think 1 or 2 semesters, but ever since I'm around here, and I don't know when I'm gonna leave.
B, we're not letting you leave. There's a core group that I'm not letting anyone go anywhere. You have no choice. But I'm actually very curious for the students, if you want to put in the chat, maybe how did you find out about X culture? Yeah, or you can. Okay, I don't think that was anybody saying anything. But yeah, it would be really interesting to hear how you all found out about X culture.
And you've been here a long time. How did you get into it?
Kind of similar situation, but I found an ad on Instagram, and I was like, okay, this looks cool, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I don't know, I think I was talking about it with my mom, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to reply. So then I replied, and honestly, just like, it was like, a business is not my thing, like, or any other. I was introverts. I think lots of us relate to that. But honestly, since like the first day I joined, I absolutely loved it and have not left since, and I cannot imagine my life without it. Kind of turned into breathing. It's like I need it. So yeah, it's definitely the community and just the chance to grow and learn so much. So yeah, that's the reason I'm still around. Okay, Veronica also found it on Instagram. I'm actually really interested about that, because I thought we couldn't actually market on Instagram again. Did you like see our Insta page, or was it like an actual ad? If you don't mind me asking. while we wait for an answer, does anybody else want to share? I think we have a few school cohorts that applied this semester. Are you from this, like that cohort, or did you apply individually? I think everyone's forgotten. Okay. Okay, Instagram. Okay, that's actually really interesting. I thought we weren't getting people from Instagram anymore, but it's really
We can do Instagram. It's just that legally they have bans you can target to children.
Yeah.
But it's totally allowed because we are something that's just a safe ad. You can target, you can put it, however, you cannot use like the targets because that's not allowed with children for safeguarding. But it does not mean you cannot advertise.
Okay, that makes
That's
sense.
still allowed.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, well, that's really cool to know. So we have some from.
Always here for the legal info.
It's always helpful having a lawyer on side. Okay, so most of you found it on Instagram. Okay, that's actually really cool. Do we have any other questions from anyone? Again, can be related to absolutely anything. Okay, I will ask then B and okay, I'll ask B first. Okay, what would you say is like, how do I word this? What do you gain the most out of agriculture? I don't know if I've asked you this before.
I mean, first of all, I would say confidence. I was really, really bad public speaker. I literally wrote down before every presentation what I supposed to say and learn it. Because I was so afraid that I will forget and I will start not being able to continue. And apart from that, I would say that it was kind of useful to talk about my experience when I applied to university. I mean, I'm not pretty sure on how much it counted towards it, but it was a nice experience that I could put in my motivational letter on my CV. And apart from that, my agriculture experience made my first 2 periods quite boring and repetitive at school, at the university. This basically means that I was already aware of what that course covered because I had the same thing in the agriculture models. So even though we are kind of making it easier to process, it's pretty university level. I mean, at the start of it, so you can gain, like, you can be chilled if you actually go to business university and not to something art related or to law. It can be a good start of the year. It will help you a little bit. How about Lisa?
Oh, that's a difficult question because there is so much like again and especially like B said, and I think a lot of us actually in academy were first very shy when we are students, and I lacked a lot of confidence as well. And really, I'm more open. And also another thing was like I knew English, but I did not have like the confidence to talk in English. So that I now have, and also it's just a really great global community. Really nice people, and what also I like now as a coach to be able to give something back to what I've gained. So I really like doing all the things. I like meeting the students. I like organizing fun activities. Yeah, that's it. Really short. I just really like the community and also really like how the students are always really nice. And yes, I really enjoy seeing all the students grow.
B, were you gonna say something, or were you? It looked like you were about
No,
to say
I was just thinking about it that, like, just as Lisa said, we were way more shy than the students currently. I mean, I remember just skipping the webinars and everything so that I don't have to talk, or just like no one sees my face. I was extremely shy and introverted.
Yeah, no, I agree with the both of you. Yeah, just like extreme levels of introvertness. Introvertness, I don't think that's quite a word, but we'll just make it one if it isn't. And like extremely shy and like really lacking in trusting myself. Like I would always be asking others, like, is this right? Am I doing this right? And then as you go through the program, you start like, actually, I know what I am doing. I can do this sort of thing. So definitely the same as like just that self-trust and confidence, as well as meeting amazing people and just gaining like so many skills. Also, like how B was saying, the public speaking. I had a very similar instance. It was one of the webinars so for students. So basically coaches have to present a webinar on a team and on a specific topic, and usually students can get to watch, etc. So anyway, I had one of those and I was freaking out so much. I was like, can I just like turn my Wi-Fi off? I was like, Mom, like I'm gonna join the meeting, and then as I join, just like turn off the Wi-Fi. That is how bad my like stress levels were about public speaking. So I went to some great extremes. I did speak in the end, but it was terrible. But anyway, we grow from mistakes and lessons and all those lovely things. So yeah, definitely the skills as well. I also wanted to ask both of you, because I think it may be quite helpful for students, is how often did you have a team meeting as a student? Was it weekly, bi-weekly, every day? Yeah, I don't know if you can even remember that far back. Louise is like,
I think that we had like 1 or 2 a week, and when people didn't really work or didn't submit all the work that they were supposed, and we were missing parts, then we just had like emergency meetings. Usually it was the middle of the night for me, because my teammates were from different countries. I had one person from India, one person from Argentina, one person from Mexico, one person from the USA, one person from Serbia, and one person from Ecuador. So it was a time zone mess.
yeah, I can imagine. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 was also in our team. I do remember that we had the same problem with time zones. For example, we had somebody from New Zealand, and like that's like a 12-hour difference with my time zone. So if you already with someone have like a 12-hour difference and then other time zones as well, it's just really hard. So sometimes we did like one meeting with a few of us, record that, and then like have basically another meeting with some other people. Just so to make. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that 12 hours is not even the worst case, but when you have like 5 or 8 hours difference, because if it's 12 hours and if it's like, for example, 6 p.m. for someone, it would be like 6 a.m. for the other person, which is manageable. But if you have like 6 p.m. and 3 a.m., the person who has the 3 a.m. one won't wake up for a meeting.
Yeah. I don't think like the 12-hour thing was really the problem. The problem was that it was a max of 12 hours. And then there were also like be saying people who had like a 6 or 8 hour difference in between, right? So you had time zones in between that made it difficult.
Yeah, time zones are never fun, and I know we have spoken yes of this before, but for anybody who's joining like kind of for the first time, or if you haven't watched the recordings, I highly suggest that you use Doodle. It's a platform that I'm pretty sure you would have heard at some point by now, but it just makes life so much easier in trying to figure out time zones and a time to meet, because it'll convert everyone's time to their own time zone. If that made any sense. So it kind of saves the hassle of like trying to figure out how many hours are in between each person, etc. So really just make a note of that. You will really need it in the future. And then also another question I have, but before I do, does anybody have any other questions? you can put in the chat if you're too shy, or you can send me a message. But while we wait, if there are any, is Via and Louisa, how did you like manage your work or school or studies with X culture? Because like I know it can be sometimes quite hard when you have, say exams, or you have just school life in general, or university or work or anything like that. It can be quite overwhelming. So how did you manage that as a student, and then even now as in your positions?
Okay, I think that Lisa's still thinking about the answer, so I will go first. I would say that it really depends on how busy are you in a week, but you should never overplan your schedule, overdo it, because that usually doesn't end up well on a long run. But I would say that it's really important that you kind of agree on the weekend what you're supposed to do as a team during the week, who has what to do, and you kind of set a deadline before the weekend so that you know that everyone did their job, and if something is not going well, you can just correct it last minute. But that's not that optimal. But like with school, it's kind of hard to manage. I would say that I would just work a little bit in the evenings and just like contribute like slowly and as a routine, and by the end of the week you surprisingly have the whole thing if you really did a little bit every day. But it's hard because it's not always working, but I think that would be like the most optimal solution to cope with the extra work.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to talk about now like some coaching, because when I was like in high school, I still had a lot more time, and I actually did it during COVID. So I had homeschool, so I have plenty of time. But now everything is not online anymore. So it's kind of hard, but I'm also really utilizing the in-between moments. If you're in a train, I'm also trying to work then. And then I do mostly things like on my phone, but also just trying to plan. Like, for example, oh, I know Friday I have a light day, so Friday I can work on stuff. Now, because we have a lot of meetings on Saturday for coaches, I kind of try to reserve like that space before the meetings, just for X culture stuff, and also that's often also the time things come up for us. So during the time, I'm kind of used to also how the semester works. I can now kind of predict the weeks that all problems are happening, right? Which is mostly like during the practical phase. It's kind of in the first few weeks, everybody's getting to know each other. So you will also notice that with student workload, like the first few weeks, it's just choosing first getting to know each other, choosing a company, and then just make sure you start doing like the weekly sections, because if you have to do the entire report at the end, it's a lot of work. But the schedule is very realistic if you keep to it. If you do the weekly dress, then it's a perfectly doable schedule.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, planning I think is really important, and like I know it's always hard to be like exact, like okay, this is gonna happen now, etc. This is gonna happen on Friday. Life is always very unpredictable, and like maybe with school or X culture, etc. But if you have a rough plan, or you kind of give yourself deadlines or goals, etc., it just helps a lot in kind of finding that balance. And then also is if you do ever feel overwhelmed, just like take a moment, talk to your team, etc. Just like take a step back. I don't mean drop all your work and completely disappear. Please don't do that. But sometimes it is just a good like, okay, you know what? I've worked really hard this whole week. I've done my like the school and X culture, etc. or university. And now I'm just going to take the morning off and I'm just going to do something I love, because honestly that balance is really important, not just in X culture but in life in general. And I've learned that through X-Culture, it does not work staying up until like 4 a.m. in the morning doing work and studies and X-Culture, etc. Beatrix, I'm sorry, I'm not pointing at fingers at you, but it's really important to get in that sleep and that rest, etc., etc. So really also take that in to your thought process or your planning. And then I see we have a question in the chat about the theoretical tests, etc. So if you did get a low mark or you forgot to take it or anything like that, you should have received another link to retake a few days after that module. And if you didn't pass any or you missed some, at the end, actually, it should be within the next few days, you will receive a link to retake the tests that you maybe didn't pass the results or didn't get a very good score, etc. Or you didn't take it. So you do have that opportunity to try again. And one thing I can just say is just make sure you read through the material properly, because all the answers are there. It's not, how to say it? It's not the hardest thing in the world, but you do have to read the material properly. Otherwise it's because it's a lot of new words and a lot of new terms, etc. So definitely just read through the material, go through it a little bit slower, and you should be perfectly fine. And if there's anything that you have any issues with or something, you do all have an assigned coach to you, so you can always just ask them. They can't give you the answers, but they can guide you to the direction you need to go in. So also just keep that in mind. And yes, you have a question, go for it.
Oh, why don't we do one thing? We divide the week in parts of work. So we decide one day and we hold the meeting at that day. And whenever we are having a problem, we discuss it in the chat. And then if anyone is available, we start the meeting then.
You mean for this current Q&A session we're having right now?
No, I'm talking about the practical phase.
Oh, the practical phase. So for when you in your student team, or as in this coaching support? Sorry, just to make sure I fully
No, I'm talking about about the students. So what I'm saying is that we will decide a day which is perfect for everyone and hold the meeting on that particular day. And if we are having any problems, so we will discuss it in the chat. And if anyone is available, we will have the meeting at that very point.
Yeah, I mean, that can definitely work. It's it varies from each team, and each member, etc. So I definitely do advise using Doodle. Get your weekly meeting. I highly advise having at least one meeting a week, just to regroup as a team, discuss your plan, etc. So definitely using Doodle, find your weekly time that works for everyone and have that meeting. But then, as you say, so maybe you decide to use WhatsApp as a team group chat, or it could be Telegram, etc. That's completely fine. And then you'll be discussing, how you're going to go through the week, any issues that come up, etc. And then if it feels like we need to have a meeting and maybe it's just two of you that need the meeting, then that's perfectly fine. Hop on a meeting, etc. Or you set a time for the next day or something. So there's really no limit to how you plan and communicate with your team, but it's really important that you do plan and that you do communicate. Bea, Louisa, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I do see Colleen has a question, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a problem with this week module. I can't access the first video because it says that the access is restricted.
Sorry, will you finish your question? Was that so? It just kind of sounded like you cut out, but
yeah. Sorry. So how can I do, because the video is restricted? So I can't really do the first part of the test.
Okay, I'm sorry, just to clarify, is this for which module?
This week's module.
Module 4. I will check on that and I will make sure that you get access to it. Do you mind just sending me your email? You can just send me a private message and then I'll make sure that you get access. Is anybody else having issues with this? No, nobody else having issues. Okay.
Yeah, it can be that a certain video is restricted in a specific country, so that might be the case.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. I just see Ankit has joined. Ankit, do you want to introduce yourself? Yes, if you can, speak and turn your camera on. Okay, I don't know if he's there or not, but basically Ankit is one of the our lead coaches, so you'll see a lot of him around, and I'm sure you've seen him in events as well. Maybe later he can introduce himself. But until then, does anybody have any other questions? No? Okay. B. Louisa, do you have anything you want to ask the students or each other or anything?
I do want to advertise something. Now Ankit has also joined, because Ankit and I both have something very special planned. Ankit is going to cook something with his mother. Maybe here you can put some explanation in the chat if he's not able to speak. But you all have been sent the flyer, and I think it's called sal roti, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it looks really delicious. And the ingredients are shared, so if you want, you can cook along. And I'm going to cook with my grandmother, and she's making her famous apple pies, mini apple pies. So come and watch that, and then you get to meet my grandmother as well, which I would really recommend.
I'll just say I've already seen a picture of the apple pies and they look to die for, so I would highly suggest you join. You may drool afterwards and like really want to eat them, so I think Louisa, you're gonna have to send everyone some, and I'm sure Ankit as well. So yes, that will be tomorrow, so Saturday at 9 a.m. EST, and you all should have a link, etc. So I really do recommend that you join in. Okay. Another question I had that will be in Louisa is what would you say is the most important like transition from the theoretical phase into practical phase?
I don't get your question. You mean what changes or like?
How do I say this? Like, okay, so you take the workload, etc., everything that's required from the theoretical phase, and how, like, the transition from the theoretical phase to the practical phase, how is that in terms of like workload, what is expected of you, etc.?
I would say that for me, the theory phase was way easier. I just did the exams. I do remember that I was unfortunately late with one because I forgot. I literally just did the exams usually on Fridays, and that was it. I did the reading and then real quick went over the exams. But in practical phase, it's not only you can't really be in charge of the whole schedule and like how you manage your time. You really have to adapt a little bit. Everyone has to compromise a little bit, because otherwise communication in your team and like the work itself, it's just not gonna work. Because if you really want to, if you tell people exactly like, you see, I am pretty busy, please don't contact me from this day to this day, that will just give like them the impression that you are not committed, and that will just like lower the come on, how do you say that? English.
Morale.
Sorry?
Morale. I think you meant to say that.
Yeah, moral. Yes, the team moral. So, and that will not do you any good in the end, because that's basically how free riders usually appear. So it's really just like making small compromises and really think, as Lisa said, to really put small amounts of works into, even when you're on the train, if you can't find any work, because as mentioned before, I do have like a really bad habit of staying up late, which is not recommended. But it can be solved if you really just read a little bit when you're on the train or during a break or something. But you really have to start in time because you have more workload during the practical phase than us for preparing for the quizzes and tests during the theoretical phase.
Yeah, I really agree with what Bea said. And I think the biggest change is that the theoretical phase, your results and your work only affect your own scores. But during the practical phase, if you don't put in effort, or if you do put in effort, it affects other people too. So you need to be considerate of other people as well. And therefore, communication is really important, because in the theoretical phase, you maybe have to send a few emails to coaches. But during the practical phase, it's really important that you communicate with your team. But it's also important that you communicate with your coach if they ask you something, or if you have problems yourselves, you can always message them. So there is a lot more coordinating, communicating, and other tasks. And yes, like Bea said, you can send messages, reminders, or questions when you're on a train, or just maybe you're watching television, or no, Netflix or Disney Plus is this generation's thing. If you're watching that, you can also send a message. And I see Ankate has rejoined, so if you want, you can answer this question as well, and otherwise you can promote what you're cooking tomorrow.
Yeah, and also
I guess I joined late, and when we were discussing the answer, so I'll introduce myself and talk about the tomorrow cooking class. So hello everyone, I'm Ankit Gautam from Nepal. I'm 19 years old and joined XCulture as a student like you in 2020. And since then, I'm working as a coach and now as a lead coach in XCulture. So I'll be working very close with your coaches, mentoring and guiding you to prepare the business report for multinational companies this semester, and very excited to work with you all. And tomorrow, along with Louise, I will be cooking sel roti. It's one of the traditional dishes of Nepal. It's pretty easy to cook. You just need 3 items: rice, flour, then sugar and ghee, which is what we call it in English. I don't know, like clarified water or something like that. So just 3 items. And it's very easy to cook too. So I chose it.
I'm sure it's delicious and I will definitely be trying.
Yeah, it is very, very when you eat it just after cooking, it's out of the world thing. It's very delicious, but after day passes, it's not that good. But the one thing, you can eat sel roti till 1 year. It does not have expiry thing.
Oh my god! Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be trying those. So yes, everyone definitely do join in. And Ankit, I'm gonna bombard you with a question right now because you are here. So wait, did someone have a question? I saw someone unmuted before I go. No.
Yeah, so as Louise mentioned that she was very shy at first and didn't know how to communicate with her teammates. So what do you recommend about that, dealing with shy teammates?
That's a really good question. And it's also a really considerate question. I think maybe what works with shy people is reaching out one-on-one. And I also noticed that it really helps if your messages are also in a friendly and understanding tone. Because if you have an accusatory tone, somebody can really get more shy. And for example, if you have a meeting and somebody doesn't give ideas, you can, for example, say for example, if it would be Bea, oh Bea, do you have any ideas about that? I really want to hear you. I really want to consider you. So just give them opportunities. And for example, you can also ask them in like private if you notice that they were showing the meeting, oh, like, is everything okay? Or do you have anything you want to say in a message? Just so encourage them to participate actively. I would really say that.
Yeah, just going off that briefly before we go on to the next question is, from my own experience, so I was surprisingly not the shyest in my team, even though I was extremely shy, but there was, we had another member who was also really, really shy, and she wouldn't, she wouldn't really like talk in meetings and would never turn on a camera, etc. And she was also like, didn't necessarily want to do her work because she was shy and hard to like ask questions, etc., etc. And I kind of formed a bond with her, and just sent her, like Louisa was saying, sent her private messages, and we kind of like got to know each other on a more personal level. And then she also started being a little bit more active in the team, etc. And then you will all learn, if you don't know already, that there's presentations, first pre-recorded presentations you have to do at the end of the semester in regards to your reports. And we had to do that, and she didn't want to do it. And I was like, look, I really think you should actually give this a shot. It's pre-recorded, we'll have some dry runs, etc. And she actually really blossomed. It was like so nice just seeing from like, a fellow shy person, just like seeing someone kind of step into their own, I don't know how to say it, potential or like confidence, etc. And we kind of stayed in touch a bit afterwards, and she was much more confident and less shy, etc. So again, give them the opportunities, and just make them feel seen, because if you're not, like, if you are shy, I'm speaking from personal experience, it's hard to put yourself out there. But then as soon as someone kind of gives you that opportunity, then you're like, okay, I can take this step. It's not as scary then. Bio Louisa, can you take the next question? I just need to get some water. My throat is like dying on me.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you very much. I have a question actually for the transitional phase. And for me, the first step is always one of the most difficult one. And my question is, if I think next week we get all the email addresses of our team members, and then I think everyone tries to do something useful, and isn't it a little bit chaotic because everyone has the email address of everyone else? And what is the best way to set up the first meeting on a preferred platform? What is the best way?
I mean, I would, if I wasn't that much of a shy person, I would start out by sending out a group email, because that will be like the only information that you have in the beginning, and just share my information and let my teammates choose what is their preferred platform. I will just specify that here is my number, for example, here is my, I don't know, Insta address or something, and let us choose together where we want to communicate and reach out to each other. Please reply to me as soon as you can, so that we can form a group and communicate in a more informal and casual way. Because really agreeing on a meeting in emails, I think that is kind of difficult, even more with people that you don't know yet. So I would definitely really start with trying to agree on a platform, on a more informal platform than email, because email won't be the most efficient way.
Yeah, and going off of that is you'll usually find like there's one person that usually kind of takes the lead in that. There'll always be like the first person who sends everything. It's like it always happens. And usually then everyone kind of follows lead. If you find yourself to be that person, then I highly recommend send a group email, but then also send an email individually, because sometimes I've found that some people respond more to private emails, just like to them, and others respond more to the group email. So just to make sure that you get both, like those markets, then just make sure that you actually do that. And then also, if you are the person on like the receiving end in that sense, make sure to respond as soon as you can, because it's really hard, especially on email. It's like, have they gotten my email? Are they like ignoring me? Are they not in the program anymore? Did I say something? Has something happened to them? So just say like, hi, okay, here's my contact details, any other information, etc. And also, it doesn't really matter that first point of contact after the email. It could be you decide WhatsApp at first, everyone send their numbers. So maybe that is something you could do, is like, please send through all your numbers, I'm going to create a group, etc. And then you can decide from there what like platform do you actually want to be using. One thing I can suggest, like, I don't know if this works, it's not my personal experience from it, but I have seen some students create like a survey with like everyone's information, so like what's your name, where you're from, etc., and then like your email, your number, your Instagram, your Facebook, all those things, and then kind of compile it and send it to everyone, which, I mean, it can be effective. Like, I don't think it will work for every team, but it could be something to look into possibly, because then you have everyone's information. So yeah. Louisa and Kit, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I do want to like just give one little bit of advice, that maybe you need to be flexible with choosing a platform, because not all platforms are, you're not able to use all platforms from all countries. So I do want you to suggest, if somebody says, oh, I can't use WhatsApp, or I don't know what you wanted to use, try something else. Try to find a way that everybody can communicate with each other, even if it's not an ideal platform for you, because it's most important that everybody is on it.
I mean, even if it's a new platform that you haven't really used yet, try to experience, try to be adventurous. If it works on your phone or on your devices, just maybe try it out. It can't go that bad.
Great, thank you very much for your advice.
Sure, no stress. Anybody else have anything?
So, after we decide to all the things are done, like we have shared our contact numbers and all that. So we decide to hold a meeting with the purpose of introducing ourselves and deciding on the who's going to take up which role. So I know the first meeting is going to be very, very important. So how do you propose on starting the conversation with your teammates on how to interact with them?
Okay, first thing I would say, again, this varies from team to team. Some teams are very active, everyone jumps in, etc. Others, you kind of take a bit of time. However, what I would say definitely is the first team meeting, almost completely focus it on getting to know each other. Because if you try from like, you'd be like, hi, okay, my name's this, etc., and you stop there and you go into work, suddenly it's really hard to do that, and it can be really awkward, and it's like, it kind of drags out the process. So like, even if you just set up one meeting purely for the purpose of getting to know each other, engaging with each other, learning about each other, etc., I would highly recommend that. It just breaks the ice. You get into the flow a lot easier, and you understand how each person is. So like in that meeting, you could find out about each other's schedules, you can find out each other's interests, maybe slightly discuss why did they join X Culture and what section of the report are they most interested, or just like kind of get a general understanding of each person and how you will function as a team. And then I would suggest, if you have the time, then like the second half or the latter half, then you go into more, how are we going to break the structure down, etc. But if possible, then I would suggest set up a whole another meeting purely then for the planning, the dividing tasks, etc. So it is a little bit like, it sounds kind of more, because it's like, oh geez, okay, 2 meetings, it may be possibly in the same week sort of thing, and you have to go through this process. But if you can, I highly suggest that. I don't know, does anybody else have any other take on that? But from what I've seen, I would say that is the best approach.
can say
Yeah, I
like
definitely agree.
yeah, sorry, you can carry on. You can.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to shortly say you can also try to like find a small like icebreaker game, like for example, would you rather, um, like choices like that, or never have I ever. You can find them on the internet, and you can have it. You don't have to propose them that you're going to do them, but you can, for example, use them if you feel like nobody is talking, it's getting awkward, then it can like kind of be a secret weapon to break the ice. And Keith, go ahead.
Like I was going to tell that we did completely same that what Leon told. Like our first meeting was 1.5 hour long, and on the first hour we did the icebreaker thing. Like no one was speaking for first 5 minutes. We just did hello and hi, and someone from Egypt introduced her country, and like we all were from different countries. So one by one, all 5 or 6 of us introduced our country, and after that we talk about our unique culture and also about our schedule, like what will be our schedule during whole program, so that everyone will know that when they will be present or they absent. And on the later half an hour we discuss about the ex culture thing, so that after everybody know themselves, it was easy to talk about the program thing. So we discuss about the client company, like which one to choose, and also like on the first meeting only we prepare the team charter, so that there won't be any bad things on the later phase. And there was no any free riders in our team, I guess because of that team charter on the first meeting. So this was all. Start with the icebreaker session, and if you get time, move with the ex calls or things a little bit, so that along with fun there will be seriousness in the program. So that's all.
Kit, maybe do you want to explain like what a team charter is, just because in case some people may not know it, and like how
So the team charter will be a 1 page long maximum, and in that you will divide the things like who will be working on which part of the program. Like there will be different things you need to work on, like different sections. You need to do research. Someone need to write the report. Someone need to keep up with the schedule. Someone need to organize the meeting, like the weekly meeting with the teammates. So the team charter includes who will be working on what things, and if someone misses that, who will be on the behind the scene. So team charter will include the thing and who will be working on that thing, and also the behind, or we can say what's keeping person on that thing. Yeah, that's all I guess.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, I mean, it's really helpful, even if you just have like a document of kind of explaining and breaking down the finer details of your team, because it really helps in the future, and it like limits the misunderstandings and like people saying, oh wait, no, but we didn't say that I was going to do that, because now it's written and that's that. It's, of course it can be altered along the way, but you kind of have that base and each person knows what they're doing, etc. Yes, you have a question, go for it. Did you have a question, or did you raise your hand by mistake?
No, I actually have a question. Do you recommend starting a record of all the meetings? So, for example, a video or a protocol. Is that something you recommend, or is it a little bit? Is it not required to succeed?
I mean, I would say it's not required necessarily, but I do believe that it could add quite a lot to your team, especially I would say there's often like a lot of maybe misunderstandings, or someone misunderstood something, etc., or you want to look back and like kind of figure out how you planned, etc. So I would say it is helpful, if someone has the time and they want to like take notes and like almost, wait, what, there's a word for it. What is the word? Minutes of the meeting. That can do. Otherwise, just do a recording and have like a shared drive, and then you just like put it with the date or what the team meeting was about. So I do suggest it's, if you don't like want to as a team, it's okay. But I actually would really recommend it, because it can eliminate a lot of like misunderstandings, and also just make sure that everyone's on the same track and nobody can kind of go back on their word. Especially if you do have a free rider or something like that, it kind of holds them accountable because now you have proof that they actually said that they were going to do that work, something. So it can be helpful, it really can be. I don't know, does anybody else have anything to add to that? And if that's answered your question.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Again, very useful. Thank you very much.
No stress. Okay, so I see we kind of going over time. So if anybody has any final questions, feel free to put them in the chat or ask away. I will take that as a no, but before we end, do I have this open? Now that we're going into the practical phase, so this was kind of the Q&A sessions were almost an experiment. We weren't really sure if they were going to work or if they'd be beneficial, but it seems like they have been. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But it was specifically for the theoretical phase. However, we are thinking of maybe taking them forward into the practical phase. So I'm just going to put a poll. If you can just say if it would be helpful to have them in the practical phase now moving forward, or if you would rather us stop them. Okay, the majority, okay, everyone's saying yes. Okay, cool. So again, same time, same place, same day. We'll be here if you have any questions, and also just going off of that, you will all have assigned coaches or lead coaches to help you through. So you will also have their support, and they may join some of your meetings if you want them to, etc. But we'll have the space open if you do have any questions or want to hear any experiences, because you can learn from people's mistakes and past mistakes. So yeah, sure. Is this directed at anyone specifically or anyone?
No, to anyone.
Okay, does anybody want to take it? And also, if anybody does have to drop off, you're more than welcome to, but otherwise feel free to stick around.
I think that you really heard of our stories already, like even if not today, then in the recording. So maybe Ankit has something more interesting to share.
Yes, there isn't like the interesting thing to share, but it was like this common group which was struggling in the initial phase, like not that struggle, like we prepared the team charter, we chose the client company on the first meeting, but it was difficult to write the things. So like the first case we had was on the section one of the team copied whole thing, and when we checked the plagiarism, it was 100% for her part. So, and for this thing, I guess we need to work with that person one-on-one, talk with our which part it was from which website, as plagiarism is one of the main issue while working in the global virtual team. So this was the very big problem for us for the first week, like 100% plagiarism for one of the part, but later on it was sorted out. Like we had a meeting, all the team members worked together for that. And the third thing we did was we used API style, citation style, which is mandatory for Xculture. And the fourth thing was we rephrased the things instead of copying and pasting everything. Like it's a big no, we should not do that. But one of the team members do that. So we need to stop that. And overall, it was a good experience. We didn't have any kind of problem in middle of the program. Everyone was active. Fortunately, we didn't have any free riders. And like I was shocked to got to know that we were on the track. Everyone was doing great. So it was the nice experience for me, and it was my first time working in a global virtual team outside of the Nepal. So I got to meet with the people from all over the world, learn about their history, about their culture, about their perspectives on the same thing. And I also got to know that we don't need to copy other people's work to get success in our life. Like we all are unique, so we need to work on our own. So don't copy other people's work. So it was overall like I talked blah blah blah, but it was a good experience. Like it was unique for me. Learning business in a global virtual team was something very unique.
Thank you for that, Ankit. If we have any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I think we can end. Oh yes, go for it. Do you have a question or is your hand raised by mistake? You're on mute if you are speaking. Sorry, you're still on mute. Is it just me that cannot hear him, or?
No, he's muted. So it's not us not
Sorry,
hearing.
sorry. My mic was mute.
No stress.
Okay, I have a question to Act. Why did you participate again in X culture?
Good question. If that's specifically for kids or is it for anyone?
Anyone here has joined again?
I would say, I mean, for me, especially, I just fell in love with the program so much. It's just the community, especially. I would say the community for me is the main reason that I came back every semester. And then also just the fact that I was able to push myself out of my comfort zone and experience things that I wouldn't have in any other place or area of my life. And it just gave me like a very new and broader perspective of the world. But again, very short answer would be the community. I just really love the people and the whole atmosphere that X culture has. And I have a feeling that's kind of for everyone, but maybe somebody has something different.
I mean, I was like, if the program for the students we're just doing for the first time was that interesting, I mean, what if I join like more people? What if I step to the next step? What awaits me in the future? So I was too curious to give up. And I guess that it's like really different because in as a student, you work as a student, you work in one team, but in coaching, you really have to work a little bit with almost everyone, and it really broadens your connections. So I don't regret coming back and staying behind. I mean, almost for 4 years now.
Yeah, for me, I really wanted to like give back because I had such an amazing experience. I wanted students to do that as well. And of course, like was already mentioned, the community is also really great because that's also why it's sustainable long term. Because I get a lot of energy from the community. Everybody is very understanding and working with you to also see in academy we have a lot of room to do the things we want to learn. We have a lot of freedom, especially if you're longer with the programs, to set up new things. So that's really nice.
Guys, do you think that you will gain something experience different that you have gained?
You mean between being as a student and a coach?
Now,
or in
you
general?
all are coaching,
Yes.
not students.
Not students. I was a student in 2019. I think Luisa kind of the same, right?
2020. No, we cannot be students in academy anymore. We're too old.
Luisa and I was on the same semester.
Misunderstanding.
So yeah, everyone that's been speaking like a lot, like with our cameras on, we all in the coaching program. So we've all had quite a few years of experience with the X culture.
Yes, actually, like the coaching program was created because people kept coming back as students, and it wasn't like pretty fair to the new people because like if you did the challenge for the third or even more times, then it just wasn't fair for the people who just ended up in the program. So some really inventive people with a lot of free time and initiative thought that why don't more experienced students start helping out new people. So basically, we just try to help students like you to avoid the mistakes that we had back in the time. And we just enjoy being with people, around people. So yes, we were students at some point, but now we just want to try and stick around for you.
Okay.
I see a quick question for me. Yes, I'm going to make a traditional apple pie the Dutch way. And I'm making it by hand. I'm not using a mixer.
That is a lot of dedication, and I appreciate that. Do we have any other questions? Otherwise, we can end for today. I hear someone's mic unmuted. Is that no? Okay. Well, I think we can end for today. Thank you all so much for joining, and I hope to see you all tomorrow, definitely for the cooking class. Otherwise, again, same place, same time next week. I hope you all have a
Bye
great.
bye.
Bye.